All right, man. First of all, welcome to Milwaukee.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to being a Milwaukee Buck. And your first thoughts, feelings when you first heard the trade had been made.
Just ecstatic. Really excited just to be able to play and contend for a championship and play with great players, play for a Hall of Fame coach. You know, Bucks fan base is always good. So that's, it's like a dream come true, really. So,
And what does it do for your competitive juices coming from a team that's in rebuild mode to a team that's in championship mode in terms of aspirations?
yeah, well, you know, I enjoyed that chapter in my life, being able to help and develop people, but my competitive spirit was hit. And I think that coming here, those juices are really flowing. I think as soon as the trade happened, they almost flew all over the place. So, super excited.
Now, one thing I've really appreciated about your game is how comfortable at your size you are out on the perimeter. I mean, that's a skill within itself. In terms of defensively, what's your comfort level defending that position, the three spot?
Oh, for sure. More than good. I think for my career, I've always been, a switchable guy, somebody that guarded multiple positions, and that's where hang my hat on my versatility, being able to guard whoever, make it tough. So.
And quickly, your foundation deals with single mothers. How active do you plan to be in the Milwaukee community with that foundation?
Huge. I was telling my mom the other day that I'm living my Midwest dream now, being from Michigan. And, my foundation is extremely important to me and my mother and affecting all the areas that I lay my head in. So.
The five-time All-Star Marques Johnson.
Alongside Marques Johnson.
What's up, everybody? This is the Here District, captain of this vessel. And I got my first mate, my number one son, Khris Johnson.
What up? Talk to me.
Let it rain, man. Let it rain.
I guess what? We're going back into the Friday.
Okay, pass us all the breakfast.
Go fight.
Welcome, everybody, to the Here District, Marques Johnson.
You're listening to a Bucks Plus audio production on the Bucks Plus Network.
Your weekly pulse on the Milwaukee Bucks, straight from a Bucks legend. This is Here District with Marques Johnson, alongside his son and 1995 NCAA champion, Kris. Here's MJ.
Welcome to Here District. I am the captain of this vessel on this fantastic voyage that has taken so many twists and turns on the open. Man, we gotta man the
Open
wheel,
sea.
man. We're going all
Hey.
The fantastic voyage is hitting some uncharted territory. First mate Khris Johnson. We're
What's
here
good?
talking Bucks. Man, oh man. Now it's so fascinating to me because the trade deadline comes up or approaches, and you hear some scuttlebutt about the Bucks maybe going to do this, Bucks maybe going to do that, different names thrown in the hopper. And then right before the trade deadline hits, to have this outpouring of activity on the part of the and let me preface it with this too. These guys have been on the phone, Kris. Milton Newton, John Horst.
I'm sure.
It's like an appendage. It's like stuck to their ears. Every
has
time
to
you
be.
see them, they're talking.
They're under a lot of pressure to make something happen.
And look, and there was a situation where we were someplace on the road, and our sideline reporter Melanie Ricks had her clothes in this little concealed office off to the side, and the doors were locked, and she wanted to go in, but she didn't know because John Horst and Milton Newton were in there talking on their phones, and so she asked our equipment manager Trevor, should she go in? He put his ear to the door to hear what they were talking about. It's like, no, you don't want to, you don't want to interrupt this. So it's been
Wow.
yeah, no. Well, you got to wait till they get done because they're talking about some important stuff. So,
Sure.
Kyle Kuzma.
Kuz.
He first came on my radar in Utah. And I got to admit, I didn't watch a lot of Utah basketball. What was that? Larry Kostoyak back in the day, I think was his coach at that time. Who was a former Buck, NBA guy? You think about that.
Come on.
Think about that.
Solid.
Not in terms of any kind of synergy or anything, but just in terms of learning from a guy that played in the league.
Tutelage.
Tutelage. Learning from a forward. about his same size, Kristoyak. He's a Montana Grizzly. Larry Kristoyak, I used to like his game, as a matter of fact. But that was Kuz's.
Kristoyak was all right. Kristoyak was all right.
He was not a bum. He was by no shape, form.
Not a plumber. Not a plumber, dog. No. He might have looked like one, but he was not a plumber.
And so Kyle Kuzma, the Bucks acquire Kyle Kuzma. Chris, what are we getting? You tell me. What are we getting?
Folks are thinking that this guy is just going to be a 3 and that's our wing and et cetera, et cetera. I can't see Kuz at this stage of career being a 3. I think he is most capable as a floor spacer at the floor. He's a mismatch waiting to happen in that position as well. And then he's shown some flashes of some decent playmaking ability as well, which can help take the pressure off of Giannis and Dame Lillard. The things you got to worry about with Kuz is on the defensive side of the ball. The consistency on defense, particularly against quicker guys, when he gets caught in switches against guards, sometimes he gets beat. Now, here's the deal. When you go to Washington, MJ, and you can speak to this better than I can, but when you go to a franchise that is based in a culture of losing, coming from a franchise that is based in a culture of winning a championship with the Los Angeles Lakers, etc., I don't think that this is a guy that you need to view through the lens of, what he's done as far as production in Washington and how he currently is playing the game. As you know, MJ, when you go to a culture that is based in winning and is based in playing a certain style of playing the right way, Kuzma obviously has a championship pedigree and knows how to lock in. He's going to do that with the Bucks, in my opinion. What do you think, MJ, about Kuz coming to Milwaukee?
Well, for me, I like to look at kind of the etymology of a player in terms of where he's come from, what he's experienced, what are the roots of who he is in terms of where he is now in his career. Just kind of look at the background, trace the background. So he's a Michigan kid out of Flint, Michigan, single parent home, biracial, all that good stuff, growing up in Flint. And so now he goes to school, I think in suburban Michigan somewhere, not highly recruited out of high school, sends some videotape of himself to gentleman Vin Sparacio at the Rise Academy in Philadelphia, prep school.
I know Vin.
Do you? Do you know Vin?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I worked out Kuz, so, come on.
Yeah. So 6'6", 175 pounds. And so with Clint Parks or
yes, Clint.
Okay. And for those that need some frame of reference, Clint Parks was Kawhi Leonard's initial kind of workout guy back in high school when I first saw him. And Clint Parks, one of the best in the business at development. So anyway, since you take the Vin Sparacio, went to Rise Academy, then became recruited, wound up in Utah, blah blah blah, all Pac-10 or 12 or whatever it was at that point. Got to the Lakers as a late first-round pick, I believe.
Sleeper pick. Took a chance on him.
A straight sleeper.
But the Lakers took a chance.
He and Brandon Ingram came in around the same time. I'm not sure the exact same year. One was a little bit older than the other. But I used to always get into these Twitter beefs with these Brandon Ingram dudes who every time I'd say that if Brandon Ingram had Kuz's footwork, he'd be an all-star. I said this when Brandon was like a rookie. And they would get so irate at me. He's better than Kuz. He's this, he's that, he's that. And I tell them, look, I'm not saying that. I'm the biggest Brandon Ingram fan in the world. I'm just saying that Kyle Kuzma has elite level footwork, Chris. And that's the thing that's always stood out to me. So give yourself and give Clint Parks and all the guys that he's worked with. I saw you guys working him out a couple of times. And just the stuff that you guys were doing with him and that he was using really helped his game advance. Yeah. And so all that to say, this guy is a ball player. He's a bucket getter. He scored 30 points over the last couple of weeks for the Wizards after being told to de-emphasize his scoring because they were working on developing their young players. And he got to the point where he said, enough is enough. I'm not going to subjugate my offensive being, my offensive DNA, at the expense of me averaging a paltry 15 points a game. I scored 22 last year. I scored 21 the year before. I'm going back into my bag. Dropped 30.
Talk about
last couple of games.
Talk about the psyche, though, M, because you experienced this with Nelly in your second year. You go from 25.6, where you love to say 26 a game, to 20, back down to 20 because of I won't say a similar circumstance, but
Yeah.
hey, M, we want you to score less. Talk about how that affects you as a ball player as far as your game, your motivation, your energy out there.
It sucks every ounce of your basketball juices, your motivation. I mean, because you work so hard. I worked so hard to be this efficient scorer, to average 26 points a game, just under 25.6. We round up to 26. We round up around here.
Who rounds up?
But I shot 55% from the field.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
And this was the day before the analytics and the efficiency numbers and the PER, player efficiency rating, all that stuff was really a part of the game. So, I don't think people really understood just what level of efficiency that was on. Don Nelson,
no threes,
no threes, mid-range.
No threes. Not one three. Not 1 3, 26 a game, not 1 3.
Mid-range and rim. All mid-range and rim at that time. All mid-range.
Not 1 3.
It may have been a couple. See, that was 70.
78, 79. Was that the first year of the three?
Well, no, I think 79. I believe right around
there.
The three was right around there, but I didn't shoot very many. So my point is with Kyle Kuzma, to be in a situation in Washington where he's told to de-emphasize his score after dropping 22 a game, he probably came into this season thinking, I'm going to be an all-star. I'm about to average about 28, and they're telling him we're going to de-emphasize your scoring. So so now you look at his numbers across the board, and free throw shooting's down to around 60%. His field goal percentage way down, 3-point percentage way down. I'm telling you, a lot of that is just his mental approach and where he is now mentally as a basketball player. The inspiration, the motivation to be the best version of himself was not there.
Sure.
And until recently, when he said, "Screw this, I'm getting ready to be me. I'm tired of worrying about developing, younger players." He's got this interesting contract too, because it descends every year from 20 to 2 to 21 to 19 or whatever it is. And so
19.5.
It was last year, a couple of years from now. And so now he's
26,
playing. He's playing for a contract also. With all this money,
no doubt.
What did Jimmy Butler just sign? $122 million deal for 2 years.
Yeah, forget that.
I mean, all this money that's available, that factors into it also. So my point in saying this in terms of basketball etymology, a guy that's won a championship during the bubble year with LeBron, he's tasted the ultimate success, right? He knows what it takes. He knows how it feels to embark upon that fantastic voyage, that journey to a championship.
Yeah,
he knows the pressure. He knows the tension. He's already navigated that with the Lakers, one of the most prestigious organizations and one of the greatest players in the history of the game. He's been right there. So now he's coupled with another one of the greatest players in the history of the game, in Giannis. A team that's trying to embark on this same journey with the front office that's doing some aggressive things, Chris, which I love. I love John Horst. Yeah, it's going to be some misses. There's going to be some Nikola Mirotiches, some Danilo Gallinari's kind of sprinkled in the mix, but he's trying different things. He's trying to shake things up. There's going to be some PJ Tuckers. There's going to be some Patrick Beverleys. There's going to be some success stories too, to sprinkle in with some of those guys who didn't work out. But I like the rolling of the dice on Kyle Kuzma because, as I say, he's a bucket getter. We've seen him get 30 points 2 times, not once, but twice in the last couple of weeks. So the scoring ability, the bucket-getting ability is still there. He's 6'9", about 220-ish, 220 plus, or whatever he is, 28, 29 years old. So, yeah, that might be a struggle. Now, but are you saying, Chris, that he's going to come off the bench if in an ideal world for Doc Rivers, or can you start him at the 3 with Giannis and Brook and then start manipulating your lineup to adjust to whatever defensive requirements are necessary during the course of a game?
Yeah, I mean, at this stage, I mean, you're probably going to have to plug him in there at the 3. His athleticism, ability to score, I mean, he's averaging 17 a game. I mean, at the 3, he could get it off still. And especially in the Bucks defensive scheme, I feel like Kuz will be probably will flourish a little more on the perimeter. Yeah. Now, watching him in Washington probably wasn't a fair sort of evaluation of him defensively, because now you're going into Greg Buckner's scheme, and they, utilizing Kuzma's length, athleticism with the paint protection, and then closing out the shooters. I mean, yeah, there's some things that you can do. So, but I think in an ideal world, MJ, I think, Kuz spends time at the three, but I think a lot of this has to do with this, the Bucks changing, not changing, but conforming to this new identity of this, of the modern style, man, where you need to have a guy at the four that can really space, that could really, and can move, right? So, when Giannis is and I know that the Bucks have been hesitant to put Giannis at the five for extended periods of time, but you tell me, if you try it one way for a certain amount of time, you got a small window to win a title, okay?
Yeah.
And all I'm saying is, when you bring it in a Kyle Kuzma, that gives you this type of lineup flexibility now, and you're bringing in another guy, a dynamic wing, when that goes through in KPJ, it could be just what the doctor ordered, but I just don't think, right now, because of how much Kris meant, he was the heart and soul of the Bucks. Well, the soul of the Bucks, I'll say. If Giannis was the heart, he was the soul for the last decade plus. And Middleton is a guy that fans love, adore, but we got to keep it real with Kris and what state he's in as far as his NBA career physically. Is it worth $51 million over the next 2 years, or do you make a move, shed that contract, get under the tax, save $30 million under the luxury tax? Now you can make some moves.
Get off that second apron.
Second apron. Get off that second apron. Now we don't know.
And as who do we have on the show? Bobby Marques. Was that the gentleman that we had?
Yes, Bobby Marques.
Bobby Marques taught me a wonderful word: aggregate. Remember that? Aggregate means you're able to combine players, package players. Salaries, aggregate, combine, aggregate. You can't do that if you're at the second apron. The Bucks are below the second apron. Trading deadline.
Great point, MJ.
But back to Kyle Kuzma. Let's get into some about that action. And so, obviously, about that action, we're going to feature the offensive skill package of a guy that has some of the best footwork of any player in the league. I say that without reservation. Without reservation, maybe limited athletically, not jumping out the gym, not dunking over people. But the reason he's in the league, the reason he's dropping 20 a game the last 2 years prior to this season is because of that footwork. So let's take a look at Kyle Kuzma about that action and break down some of that impeccable footwork that Chris Johnson, Clint Parks helped him develop as a younger player in his career. A little shot fake, space. Look, you talk about his three-point shooting down in the low 30s or whatever, but again, I just think numbers belie the potential that he has. You see the footwork on that move, finding the glass off the kiss. Go ahead, Kris. You chime in. You tell me what you're seeing.
Yeah, I'm seeing a Kuz that is obviously in a situation in Washington where the culture's different and he's asked to do things. So I don't know just how he doesn't look like the Kuz that I'm used to seeing. I'm gonna be honest with you, as far as the sharpness, as far as the detailed stuff. But this stuff is still very effective. You're talking about a guy that's 6'8", 6'9".
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? With jumper and feet. Man, I love the deal. I love Kuz's game. I love his fit with Giannis and Dame and in this Bucks team. I don't care what anyone says. I truly believe that this he's going to bring a new dimension to the Bucks that they haven't had in a while. Can you think of a guy that the Bucks have had at the four with this type of dynamic ability?
Not just Mickey Johnson in 1983.
Yeah, somebody like that. Like Bobby's live, but like Kuz is like a different level of athleticism. And again, I'm not underselling Kuz on the defensive end, MJ, but I love his ability to run the lane, to get out, and then he knows how to play basketball. So he makes good basketball plays, movements, cuts, etc. Championship type stuff. I love your point about a guy that knows how to do it. There's nothing like it. It's funny. I was talking to old UCLA assistant coach David Grace yesterday at Shiloh's game, who's the head coach at Campbell Hall. We were talking about just how he never recruited a guy that wasn't a winner. I think winning brings a certain skill set, MJ, that's beyond what we're looking at and about that action as far as jumpers and moves. Like, this guy knows when to do it, what to do, when to go to it, the value, of shots, the pressure of it all. Like, the intangibles is where Kuz is really going to stand out for the Bucks team, in my opinion.
Right. And to your point, and this is a bit of a concern, but not major. You talk about how winning can bring that out. So this is a Wizards team that's won all of 7 games at the time of this taping this season. It's not to say they're tanking, but they're positioning themselves for the Cooper Flag sweepstakes and all that. I have no problem with that. But what it does to players, I had a conversation with Del Curry when we played the Hornets, and Del was talking about, this is a Hornet team that's also struggling. But his thing is, like, you've got to allow these guys to get a taste of winning. You can't, you can't condone not having the spirit of winning in your locker room. And if you don't have the talent to win, you wind up getting into the lottery and a chance to get one of these collegiate superstars, so be it. But that's not the approach to take. And I agree with that. And what it does for a guy like Kuzma, who is used to success with the Lakers, the glamour franchise, NBA champion. Now you go to a situation like this, and your basketball spirit is not the same. And so
that's what I'm saying.
And I think with the Bucks, that will help resurrect, bring the dead back to life. His basketball spirit, and playing alongside a Dame, and playing alongside a Giannis and Brook Lopez, and guys that have been there and won a championship. Bobby Portis, Pat Connaughton won a championship. Being in that locker room again, that championship locker room, that championship feeling. We're playing for something. I got to come out here and get it. I got to come out here and get it done tonight. You telling me, oh, you need me to get 20 to 25 tonight? Okay. For us to win, and for us to not only win, but for us to be the best version of ourselves as a team and compete for a championship. Let's get it. I'm ready. So it's a resurrection of that basketball spirit that I'm looking most forward to at Kyle Kuzma.
Yeah, and to your point, MJ, about the basketball spirit, like, think about it like this. Like, in Washington, there's no real peer pressure for Kuzma as far as, like, vets and OGs and guys that are actually better than him, other than, like, Jordan Poole. So now you put him with Giannis and Dame, and as a hooper, you know this. Yeah. It's like there's a peer pressure that exists when better players, you're playing against next to guys that are better than you. Like, as a hooper, you're going to get in where you fit in, try to, dot your I's, cross your T's, pay attention to the details, because you're trying to make this work out of respect for dudes' games. I mean, this is something else that I think that, like, fans are just up in arms about this move, need to have a little bit of nuance when they through which the lenses they view Kyle Kuzma. I'm going to go down swinging when I say this. Like, he's not going to be the same guy that he is in Washington. I don't care what anyone says. We're going to see it right away. We're going to see it its first game. He's not going to be that dude. He's just not. He's going to be championship Kuz from the Lake Show.
Well, and as you know, you're looking at some of the video on Kyle Kuzma. Yeah, Jordan Poole will get some defensive attention, but he's got some magnets out there. He got some gravity.
Man, major.
And Giannis and Dame. And even Brook Lopez with the ability to stretch out the defense. So I'm just saying, catching the ball with 7 seconds on the shot clock on the backside with a closeout defender running at him because the team had doubled on Giannis and now they're scrambling. Look at these videos, the way he attacks closeouts. That's tailor-made for Kuz. The pull-up jumper, the mid-range jumper off a closeout situation, the sidestep three-point shots, tailor-made for what's about to happen with Kyle Kuzma. So I like it.
I love it. I think, at the end of the day, give him a chance. Give him a chance. Just he's going to come in. He's a professional. He's locked in, and he has championship pedigree. Those are the things you should know about Kuzma. 17 a game, 6'9", 230, young, forward, 3/4. Okay, I mean that archetype. That's live. I'm sorry, guys. And you're saving $30 million on the luxury tax, and I mean, come on, man. I know it's not all about saving money and guys like that, but the championship window is now.
Yeah, it's now. And look, so let's confront the
To
elephant in
Kris.
the room. So Khris Middleton, look, you know. Yeah, I can play. I can play. I said this on our broadcast. I said this on our broadcast that if Khris Middleton never scored another bucket as a Milwaukee Buck, he has cemented his legacy in Milwaukee Bucks history, Milwaukee Bucks lore, by what he has done for this franchise over the past 11 plus seasons. He's in the top 2 or 3 in a lot of different stat categories. He passed me for something recently. I forgot what it was. If he would have been traded a month ago, I might be able to hold on to like that number 3 spot, but that's neither here nor there. But no, I'm just being silly with that. But I have more respect for him, as much respect for him as any ball player I've been around, watching the work that he's put in. And not only that, Chris, and you can speak to this because you got that clutch gene. I didn't have the clutch gene. I was the guy that penetrated and kicked to the clutch shooters like Junior Bridgman and Brian Winters. You had game winners from the time you were 12, 13, all through high school, all through college, as a professional. I didn't have that. I didn't have that clutch gene. I didn't have that automatic jump shot. You know what I mean? That I had the 110% confidence in that I was going to knock it down. I had about a 75 to 80% confidence. So that was some, but you guys have that. And Khris Middleton has that. And Khris Middleton has hit game winners and has dropped the 40 plus in playoff situations when Giannis was not available. Two bad ankles and a bad knee against the Pacers last year, averaged 25 points a game in our first round series against them. Beat up and bang. And so Khris Middleton is one of the most beloved figures in Bucks history. And yes, it is well deserved. But it's time to move on. And Father Time is undefeated. Kris left his body parts, his wrist surgery, his knee surgery, his bilateral ankle surgery. That means 2 ankles, both ankles operated on over the course of a summer. So my thing is like, and I would have this conversation during our broadcast with Lisa Byington when she would talk about Kris and his inconsistencies the last big road trip. He was 0 points, 21 points, 0 points, 22 points, and how we had never seen that before from Kris. We never seen Kris with bilateral ankle surgery. It's just not rocket science. I mean, the young man was struggling to regain his form, and there was no guarantee. If we could be guaranteed he's going to be a version of Khris Middleton that could give you 18 to 20 points a game and, take over when you needed to, which he's shown in spurts, but there's no guarantee of that. And plus you don't know, Kris, and this is just being real, with the injury history, is this going to be a recurring theme? Are you really, you know what I mean? Are you finished with the surgeries, or is this kind of the stage of your career based on your body type, based on how hard you played, what you've given to this franchise at 33 years old? This is going to be something that the Bucks are going to have to look at over the next couple of years. He's got that player option for like $34 million, I think, next year, whenever it is. And so we respect what he did. We appreciate what he did. I love him for the person and that he's developed into as I've watched him over these last 11 years. And but it's time to move on. It's time to move on. And Kyle Kuzma, is he the perfect basketball player to replace a Khris Middleton? You're not going to find a guy like that. But I think that it's a gamble worth taking, that the Bucks have taken John Horst, Milton Newton, rolling the dice on Kyle Kuzma, putting him into a winning environment, putting him into a situation that's going to be nurturing with Doc Rivers as a coach now, being able to be real with him, be honest with him, but also to let him know how much this team, this franchise needs him to be Kyle Kuzma. And don't worry about fitting in and development of younger players and all that. So, again, Khris Middleton, we bid you adieu. It's been a great run, man. We wish you all the best in Washington, D.C. with the Wizards or wherever he winds up. If he gets bought out and gets a chance to go to a contender, I don't know what's going to happen. But I have nothing but love and respect for this young man and just appreciate everything that he has done for this franchise.
Yeah, man. It was hard for me on the outside looking in. It's like you don't realize the impact that Khris Middleton had on the Milwaukee franchise until you actually like get involved with Bucks fans and understand and get your finger on the pulse He was the pulse. I mean, I already said he was Milwaukee's soul, but it isn't about stats. And when I think about Khris Middleton, I'm not going to probably look at his stats. Although he ranks high on the Bucks list, he's like, third in whatever scoring and first in threes. But with Khris, it's about the clutch DNA. It's about his selflessness, the big shots. What was it, Dad? Game 4, 2021, 40? What do you have?
Atlanta?
No, in the finals. Didn't he have a 40 ball?
Phoenix, right. Yeah.
Come on. 40 ball.
He's had so many great moments. It's just hard. It's hard to differentiate between them. That's the example of his greatness, the level of greatness that he's reached.
And to think that the Bucks picked him up
as a throw-in.
Lopsided trades. Lopsided trades in it. One of the most lopsided trades in NBA history. If you're going to go down as a franchise great, right?
Yeah.
You got to look at that trade. You got to look at the dude they threw in who became a franchise great, perennial all-star. I mean all-star, a champion, like dude. And Giannis, man, watching Giannis talk about it and kind of get his feelings on the matter, man, you can see it hurts him. You can see that this is somebody that he loved. This is his brother, my brotherhood with Kris. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And the most compelling thing that I saw or comment that Giannis made in the interview was like, it was kind of a throwaway comment. It was like, we're going to hang out after our careers are over. We're brothers. We're going to hang out. We're going to be a part of each other's lives after we get done with basketball. And that's what people got to realize, in terms of this career thing in the NBA. It's such a finite deal. For Kris, for Giannis, they're entering the second half, the third quarter overall, of their career. Kris, maybe the fourth quarter of their basketball careers, and so it's chunks of reality that need to be digested, and it's
Indeed.
a tough chunk to digest. You may need some Malanta to help it go down, or some Malox or something. But you got to digest it. It's time to. It's time to move. It's not easy for me to say this because I love Khris Middleton. I love everything about him and the family, man, and you get married and the kids and the whole go through the struggles when his dad passes away and through the course of the season and the injuries and everything that's gone on with him, and to see how he has handled himself as a true gentleman, class act all the way, and. So but the bottom line is it's time to move on. And so moving on, we got Kyle Kuzma coming in, got a couple other pieces that the Bucks have picked up that I find very, very intriguing. We'll start with the big man from the New York Knicks out of Texas, Jericho Sims, 6'9", 6'10", running. And it's funny, Kris, I had been saying to myself, what does this team need? And I kept coming up with, we need a running, dunking, shot blocking, athletic big that's worried about scoring, like a Clint Capella type of just rim running, decent hands, lob catching, hard roller. And so there's some guys out there that I was looking at that their teams had some redundancy at their position. But Jericho Sims is intriguing to me. And I watched some video on him. And look, we talked to Clyde Frazier, and Clyde had some interesting comments to talk about Jericho Sims.
First of all, great character guy. He's always cordial, showing a lot of respect to me, whatever. A phenomenal leaper. I think he's 6'10". His lack of offensive prowess, I think, kind of hurt him. Wasn't much of a threat other than the dunk shot, getting dunks. But he was aggressive on defense. Protecting the rim and all of that, but I think that's eventually why the Knicks probably put him up for a trade because of that. And they have Robinson coming back. He's cleared to work out now.
Right. Okay. But you think Jericho can help the Bucks? All we need, Clyde, we need a rim running, shot blocking, lob catching, dunking brother. Jericho.
Yeah.
Jericho fits that bill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe this trade will help him confidence-wise, because with the Knicks, when he got in the games, he was tentative when he got the ball inside, kind of. So maybe he'll see now that, hey, man, he's got to make the next step if he wants to stay in the league. So this is a great opportunity for him now with the Bucks.
All right, brother. Appreciate it, man. Thank you. Jericho Sims is a guy I think that can help this team in the long run. Your feelings about Jericho Sims?
44.5-inch vertical, right? Known for shot blocking, but you need that bounce, bro. Put 44.5, 44.5-inch vertical at what, 6'11", 6'10", whatever.
6'10".
He is head in the rim, and him and Giannis are going to be at the top of the square on stuff. Okay, look, 1.8 million. Okay, that's a nice 1.8. Yeah. Is, so you got to, it's a good move for the Bucks. You get
and as Clyde Frazier told us, I mean, he needs some confidence. He needs a kind of a new environment to be around, some new skill development people. Vin Baker be one of the big man's coach that works a lot with him. That's gonna help his development.
And he's also coming from a culture of winning.
Yes.
Thibs and Doc, their connection.
Yes.
So it should be a seamless transition for the young man coming to Milwaukee.
Great point. I didn't think about that. Tom Thibodeau, he's the one that when the 2008, 2009 Celtics were the best defensive team in the history of the league with Kendrick Perkins and KG and Posey and PJ Brown. I mean, it takes players to be a great defense, and they had the players.
It takes players.
It takes
players. Okay,
players to make a great defense. But Thibs used to do this thing where he'd bring that big strong side. The strong side to the basketball,
like a zone. Yeah. But he's out the key. He's standing out the key on the strong side.
Yeah. But so he'd overload that side defensively. Now you're looking at just a bunch of long, athletic.
I remember that
up there, and so to your point, that connection with Thibs and Doc. So Jericho knows what to expect from Doc defensively.
And now, but think about what the Bucks haven't had is this type of energy at the 5 as far as leaping. You don't get this. You don't get the leaping, quick, twitchy, rebounding shot blocker. I mean, look, Brook is awesome. I'm talking about from the backup. When Brook goes out and you got somebody coming in that's going to be up there at the square with folks, and he can close out, he can move a little bit. His lateral is solid. He's like a different kind of a backup than Brook, where it's going to give you some more, like I say, the quickness. That's what the Bucks just need. More quickness in every single position. I think John Horst did a good job of upgrading their athleticism at this deadline.
Yeah, and then the other piece that we hadn't talked about yet, Kevin Porter Jr. Now Marjan Beauchamp, one of my favorite individuals, just in terms of what he has done, Chris, for the Native American communities all around the country, but in Milwaukee. He holds these special clinics for Native American kids. He wants to be a role model for Native American kids. He's part Native American out of Yakima, Washington. He takes a lot of pride in his heritage and making sure that his Native American people have uplifted self-esteem and feel good about themselves. So he spends a lot of time and money in that effort. And I told him, and I told his dad. I talked to his dad in Portland on a recent road trip. I love his dad. His grandfather was the first black mayor out of Yakima. So they're really politically connected. But talked to his dad. And I told him, Milwaukee may not be the place where he can flourish. Marjan goes to the Clippers. We wish him the best. But we get Kevin Porter Jr.
This guy, he can take pressure off of Giannis and Dame, right, as a third option because he can get buckets. Takes pressure off of Dame as a playmaker. Because this dude has a bag and a half, and if it's channeled properly, and that's the whole key with this kind of guy. No, listen. He's one of those guys with the endless bag that you got to channel and corral it, and you got to really get the reins on this type of dude because he will jack, because he will pull, he will jack.
Well, I'm laughing because I'm thinking of videos I've watched of him before we played the Clippers recently, and he's got him on skate. He's side to side. He's heavy.
He is so sweet. He's so sweet.
He's got a bag that is off the freaking tizzy.
And also MJ, like a theme. I won't say it's a theme, but I have noticed that the Bucks, like guards, when they play the Bucks, it's like eyes light up. It's food. Like dudes have gone off. Dudes have had, like, I won't say an easy time, but now you got a guy with some length, some activity, youth at the wing, guards / position, right? He
Yeah.
can be a good defender. Like, he has the
Yeah.
tools, but it's
Right.
obviously going to take buy-in. It's going to take that buy-in, that lock-in. Okay, now we put this wild talent, this young dude with endless talent in a championship organization around some seasoned, savvy vets. Can he conform? Just like we talked about with Kyle Kuzma being in a losing culture, how that was an issue. I think KPJ's thing is going to be a little different, but in a similar fashion, right? He's going to have to come through, understand what his role is, what is expected of him. Absolutely, Doc is going to define that. And then he's really got to take it upon himself to stay within that role.
Yeah.
MJ, that's the deal. It's staying locked into that role that's going to help your team win ball games.
Kevin Porter Jr., Chris, is averaging almost 20 minutes a game, giving him 9 points a game. He's had huge games. He had a 16-point quarter or something against the Celtics recently, a third quarter where he just couldn't be stopped. So he's a guy, his bag, we talked about that. So, I love watching him just going side to side, breaking defenders down. He's got an excellent feel for getting to his spots, separation. His mid-range game is off the hook. I just think the Bucks have got a real interesting piece to their puzzle. And the other thing is, and I love Gary Trent Jr., don't get me wrong, with the toughness, the shooting, but in terms of having guys that can get their own shots.
Handle.
In the playoffs, it is so important. It's imperative for success in playoffs to have some depth, quality depth of guys that can get their own shot, and he brings that to the table like no other.
No, absolutely. Again, like we talk about, it's about the culture rubbing off on him.
Yeah.
The Bucks culture needs to rub off on him immediately, and if he can lock in, buy in, dude, this changes the look of how deep the Bucks can make a run. Him, Kuz, or Jericho. I mean, dang, those three.
Yeah.
You give up Middleton, Marjan, DeLon.
You bring in Kuzma. You bring in Jericho Sims. You bring in Kevin Porter Jr. Kevin Porter Jr. with 70% like around the rim, 50% on the mid-range jumpers, 10 to 16 feet. These are quality offensive players, Kuzma and KPJ, and then you get the athleticism and length that you've been desperate for. And as Clyde Frazier talked about, Jericho Sims, he's a work in progress with his hands and offensively and finishing in the crowd, all that good stuff. But man, catching them lob dunks, that 44-inch vert, contesting shots at the rim, and we're talking about 12 to 15 minutes a game, just giving Brook Lopez a chance to get his numbers down from 30 plus minutes a game to about 27, 28, which is more manageable for Brook at 37 years old, 17th year in the league. So I love it, man. I love the moves. And like it always is. It's a crapshoot. We'll see how it works out. But I like the fact that the Bucks front office, they're being proactive. Is the word I'm looking for. Proactive in terms of trying to improve this team, and taking advantage of not only Giannis' championship window, but also Dame's championship window. Dame has been playing Dame has been playing great basketball over the last 2 or 3 weeks, month, or whatever it's been, maybe even a little bit longer. But he's changed his whole mindset. So I think it's time to take advantage of how these guys are playing, and take advantage of this championship window that shrinks every single year that you don't win it. So I love the acquisitions.
Yeah, me too, man. What did you think about the Lakers trade?
Anthony Davis and Luka. Here's my bottom line, and I've kind of bounced all over the place on this because you get caught up into believing the narrative that Luka's out of shape and Luka led his team to the NBA Finals, last year? Luka played 40 minutes a game. Luka was carrying the freaking Mavericks on his back for stretches and stretches and stretches during the playoffs and dropping incredible. Luka's had, a 70-plus point game. If that's out of shape, if that's emblematic of a guy being out of shape. Now, look, could he be in better shape and all that? LeBron, I think, will rub off on him in a positive vein from that standpoint. But don't give me this. I don't want to hear this stuff about, Luka not being in shape and the numbers and the accomplishments don't back that up. Don't justify that narrative in my mind. You?
I really can't envision a world where we're talking about a guy that averaged 32 last year?
Yeah.
Almost a triple-double, is out of shape. Look, out of shape is different from looks like a world-class athlete.
Right,
you know what I mean? We need to understand Paul Pierce might not have been considered the most buff cut
Yeah.
guy, but he's dropping 40 against the Lakers on Kobe in the finals.
Nikola Jokic, 3-time MVP.
Arguably, so we got to say, if you're talking about the Slavic dudes and stuff and the way they look, like, we got to just understand something. It don't matter how them dudes look.
Yeah.
It does not matter how Jokic looks. Jokic can walk around like that. He has 3 MVPs. They talking about him top 5, top 10 ever. Like, bruh, Luka the same. So here's my thing with the deal, though. The Lakers, you only get the Dallas Mavericks, you only get a 2029 first rounder and AD for Luka, a generational talent, a face of the NBA type of guy that is 22, 23 years old. Like, that just speaks to, obviously, the pressure that general manager Nico Harrison was under in Dallas to make a move. Like, you're a GM. You are not just going to say, hey, LA, here's Luka for AD and a first and a 2029 pick. They needed to do something out there. I don't know if that romance had run its course in Dallas. There was butting of heads going on with Luka's physical guy, his strength and conditioning coach, who was on staff the year before. Then the Mavs took him off staff going into this season. But the reality is, when you're able to pair two of the greatest basketball players, 6'8", 6'9", ball handling kind of guys that we've ever seen do it together. IQ together. Luka's defensive is a liability defensively. They say, 116 defensive rating. It could be a problem. But for me, seeing what I see from him last year, I have no doubt that this is a guy that could impact the game on both sides of the ball, a la how Bird used to impact the game defensively. Wasn't necessarily the quickest, fastest, strongest, but that IQ thing translates on both ends. At the end of the day, if you're asking me who won the trade, the Mavs or the Lakers, man, that's tough. I think because look, Dallas, you got AD with the rim protection, almost 2.5 blocks a game. Him and Kyrie, you got the concerns about AD's injuries and his availability. But, man, I don't know, dude. I don't know. It's hard to call, man.
Well, to your point, so it's not in a vacuum that you analyze these things. The Lakers just traded Dalton Connect and some other pieces to Charlotte for Mark Williams, 7-footer out of Duke, who just dropped a 30-piece. He's had some really great games in the month of January. Yeah. He's averaging 23 and double-figure rebounds since the end of January, early February, something like that. So, you couple that with Luka and everything else that's going on.
I think it changes it. I think that changes the look of the Lakers, sort of, their trade deadline with Mark Williams, because now you got a replacement for AD who's a lot younger and who's much more available to play.
Yeah. So we'll see how it pans out. But, man, look, fantastic voyage. This is what it's all about, making moves. And we're here to dissect, to analyze, and more importantly, to go on a ride with you. And, Chris, let them know where they can hear the podcast.
You can watch the podcast on the Milwaukee Bucks official YouTube channel, and you can listen to us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Yep. That's it, man. I'm so excited about this second half of the season. We'll see how it pans out, but I like the moves the Bucks have made, and we'll be back here next week to talk even more about it. And man, just what a great flurry of activity around the league, and in particular for the Milwaukee Bucks. So it's all good. All right, Marques Johnson, Kris Johnson here, District. Talk to you next week.
This has been a Bucks Plus audio production.